My poem is The Unknown Citizen by W.H. Auden. He was found by the Bureau of Statistics to be one against whom there is no official complaint, and all the reports on his conduct agree that, in the modern sense of an old-fashioned word, he was a saint. For in everything he did, he served a greater community. Except for the war to the day he retired, he worked in a factory and never got fired, but satisfied his employers, Fudge Motors Inc. Yet he wasn't a scab or odd in his views, for his union reports that he paid his dues. Our report on his union shows it was sound, and our social psychology workers found that he was popular with his mates and liked to drink. The press are convinced that he bought a paper every day, and that his reactions to advertisements were normal in every way. Policies taken out in his name prove that he was fully insured, and his health card shows he was once in a hospital but left it cured. Both producers' research and high-grade living declare he was fully sensible to the advantages of the installment plan, and had everything necessary to the modern man: a phonograph, a radio, a car, and a Frigidaire. Our researchers into public opinion are content that he held the proper opinions for the time of year. When there was peace, he was for peace. When there was war, he went. He was married and added 5 children to the population, which our eugenist says was the right number for a parent of his generation. And our teachers report that he never interfered with their education. Was he free? Was he happy? The question is absurd. Had anything been wrong, we should certainly have heard. So, my summary is that at the beginning of this poem, we learn that the following words are a statue dedicated to this unknown citizen. Many different organizations give their opinions on this unknown citizen, with the first being the Bureau of Statistics, that saying no official complaint was ever made against him. He's considered a saint due to the fact he's never missed work except to join the war, and the fact that he's done so much, he dedicated everything to the greater community. He was a man who had the same views as most people and never missed a payment to his union. He liked to have a few drinks, and he consistently bought the newspaper and reacted to advertisements normally. He had full health insurance and even went to the hospital once, but left it cured. He took advantage of installment plans and had everything that the necessary modern man needed, such as a phonograph, a radio, a car, and a fridge. He held the same views as the average person and was married with the right number of kids, which was 5. We never know if the man was free or happy, but it doesn't really matter to the organizations, as they would have known if anything would have been wrong, and I doubt they frankly cared. There's only one stanza in this whole poem, and the tone, to me, sounds very similar to that of a plaque on someone's statue, and as in like that, it's formal and factual, and in a factual tone. The diction is a bit on the simple side and very straightforward. It also feels very detached, and the words are just coming out like a list rather than like a recounting of accomplishments. The poem states he added 5 children to the population and didn't use another more common word for having children, like, gave birth to, had, and it shows that whoever wrote this, which is more than likely the government, sees this man as a statistic rather than a human. There isn't much imagery in this poem, but that is more or less the point of the poem. One of the symbols of the poem is the poem itself. The poem is showing what Auden and many Americans at the time felt was the government's ideal man. A man who wasn't really a man to them, just a number who did what he was supposed to do and nothing more. He would fight for his country when needed and go back to his normal boring job when done and produce the right number of children deemed necessary and buy things with his money to further the economy. Another symbol is the Bureau of Statistics mentioned in the first line. It represents how the government views its people as just statistics and nothing more. The figures of speech in this are, one line shows metaphor and hyperbole, which is that in the modern sense of an old-fashioned word, he was a saint. And another line shows hyperbole and by saying, and had everything necessary to the modern man. The meter in this is the anapestic tetrameter. The rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B, C, C, D, E, E, F, F, D, G, G, H, H, I, J, J, I, K, K, L, 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 M, M. The poetic form is a rhymed poetry, and the type of poem is a satirical elegy.